It's interesting to note, there was a couple of things that we were talking about beforehand that we'd like to share with the audience, but if you look again at verse 8, God gives these gifts so that we aren't deceived. He gives these gifts to, everybody has gifts, possibly multiple gifts, so that you can know what the truth is. You can be guided in the truth and not be deceived. There's a lot of deception in the world. And what I love about D&C 46 is that it gives us a guide to not be deceived. But you were telling us earlier about sometimes we misunderstand why God gave us gifts and how many gifts we might actually have.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a satanic counterfeit to those gifts. And during this period of time in early church history and in America, there were a lot of people doing a lot of strange kinds of things that were, certainly not of God, but that the Lord would try to make very clear here, Taylor, that there are satanic deceptions, counterfeits, but they're also the true manifestations of the Spirit. And we'll talk about this more, I'm sure you'll talk about this more with section 50, but he doesn't want deception and needs to guard against that in the church because of some of these traditions and behaviors and activities of people who are supposedly Christians who are manifesting behaviors that are kind of a little bit strange and not certainly out of the ordinary.
Well, Alex, what would you say to somebody who says, I don't know if I have a spiritual gift. I know what God said here, that he's given gifts to everybody, but he may have missed me. And I don't know how to find those gifts.
Well, I think it's important I think you said it quite well, actually. For all not have every gift given unto them, for there are many gifts, and to every man is given a gift by the Spirit of God. We'd say women, children, young people. We all have them, but how do we discover what they are? I think one way is through our own experiences in the church. As we grow in the gospel, we sit there and understand things more completely. And I think one way I think we all know many, many times in our patriarchal blessings, those spiritual gifts are either mentioned or elucidated to. And I think there's a purpose in that identification because the Lord wants us to grow in that gift, to share that gift, to expand that gift, and to bless the lives of others. So I think there's probably, most church members can identify some of those spiritual gifts by the revelation God gives to them through their patriarchal blessing of specific gifts. And that doesn't mean if you don't have one that you can't develop. In fact, he says to seek ye earnestly the best gifts and the intent for which they're given.
What I love about this is God's invitation, as you're talking about, to seek after the best gifts. So we can look to our patriarchal blessings, and that's a good starting point. And then talk to God and say, Lord, here's my righteous desires. Will you magnify those righteous desires for me to serve and lift? And so we invite you, wherever you're at, look for the gift or gifts that God has given you, and then ask yourself, what's one thing I could do today or this week to share that gift with others, to magnify God's kingdom and bring beauty to other people's lives?